Coast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings. I just barely got the tweet off because hashtag AEW Dynamite wouldn't come up. Joined this week by Danny Hernandez and James Ashanti, back here once again to review AEW Dynamite. This was a bit of a weird episode of Dynamite. They were down in Knoxville, Tennessee, and for those of you who haven't seen, a lot of the areas in the South and the Gulf Coast have been just getting absolutely quote-unquote wrecked by snow. Some places actually do have a lot of snow. New Orleans is like frozen over. They had a
first time in 15 years.
Dude, people were playing, like, they were skating and playing hockey on Bourbon Street last night and Canal. So it's pretty bad down there. A couple of weird things happened with the booking. We lost Samoa Joe versus Nick Wayne tonight. And I do think it impacted the show a little bit in terms of form and structure, but we'll get into that more as we get into the show. We are going to start at the top of the show as we had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay come out to the ring for a face-to-face. First things first, Kenny used Battle Cry tonight. So I don't know what the split is going to be between him using Battle Cry and him using his new Final Fantasy theme, but it was good to hear it again. Everyone was very excited, I think, to hear it. That crowd was very good in Knoxville, so they were pretty much excited about everything. But it was nice to hear that song. Anyway, after Shivani, who's in the ring, introduces both members, he offers Ospreay the chance to speak first, since it was Ospreay who requested this face-to-face. And Will says that he's very happy that Kenny is not dead, aren't we all? And that a lot has changed since Kenny has been gone. Ospreay says that he is no longer running with the Callis family, as he didn't like the way they were conducting business, and instead he's been trying to change AEW from the inside. But Kenny has come back at a bad time, as Moxley is currently holding the world title hostage, and try as he might, Will can't get over that help because he keeps running into the Callis family. Ospreay admits that he needs help, but before he can go any further with that, Kenny cuts him off. Omega says that Will might not remember the last time they were in the ring not throwing punches, which is something Will led off with, but he does remember the last time they're in the ring overall, and that was at Forbidden Door when Ospreay dropped Kenny on his neck in an attempt to break it and stabbed him in the head with the same screwdriver that carny piece of shit Don Callis had used a few months before. And why did
Ospreay to let that go? Really
I mean,
on to that grudge.
I think I wouldn't let it go either. But the reason, according to Kenny, that Ospreay did all of this was to prove that he was the best. Kenny then says he will never trust Will, and while it took diverticulitis and him almost dying for people to even notice Ospreay, Will is now back to number 2, as the number 1 has returned, bro. Will then gets in Kenny's face, calling him a prick, but this escalation is cut short as that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, comes out. Don attempts to speak, but once again, Omega makes a beeline for him, and as Callis runs away into the tunnel, Kenny is then met by first Konosuke Takeshita and then Kyle Fletcher. As Omega tries to fight them off, Ospreay stands in the ring, and he's a little trepidatious about joining after everything Kenny had just said, but finally he has enough, and he goes out there and takes on Fletcher. The 4 of them fight into the ring and then eventually out into the crowd, where they are met by Lance Archer and Brian Cage, who join the fray and turn the tide in favor of the family as the fight heads up into the concourse. It is here that Kenny and Will start to get on the same page as they're able to fight off Archer and double suplex him through a table at the merch stand. The fight then makes its way back down to the floor near the crowd, where Omega and Ospreay are able to knock the remaining members of the family down long enough for both of them to climb up on a couple of things. Will basically parkoured his way up using Fletcher's momentum boost onto a high wall that held these stands, basically. It was a very interesting arena. And he climbed up there while Kenny climbed up a lighting truss. And then the two of them looked at each other, gave each other a point, and hit moonsaults back-to-back on the members of the Callis family below. This took all those guys out and forced them to retreat. So then Kenny grabbed the mic and the duo climbed up the lighting truss again. And Kenny called out Don and the family, saying that everyone just saw what he and Will did to Don's boys. And maybe he owes Will an apology since he should have trusted him from the beginning, which is a very quick turnaround by Kenny. Kenny then says he has a great idea, challenging Takeshita and Fletcher to a tag match at Grand Slam. Kenny's music then hits, but he has them cut it off. He's saying he knows it's been a minute, but they have to give him time to bid everybody adieu, good night, mwah, goodbye, bang. And then he says they can play his music because he wants to get down since he's afraid of heights. So, James, this was a fairly long segment. I do think they probably stretched it a little, considering, obviously, as I mentioned, the Joe Wayne match got bumped, and who knows what else got bumped off this card. But it was still a lot of fun watching Kenny and Will having to fight off all of these guys, successfully doing so with some very high quality pageantry at the end. And we do get the tag match we have been predicting for Grand Slam for a couple of weeks, but it's still a tag match I do want to see.
No, absolutely. I think, no pun intended, they started the night off with a bang. I think this was the best part of the night, the most exciting part of the night. And sure, am I biased because I love Kenny Omega? Absolutely. But at the same time, there was just an energy to this that I don't think anything else matched. Like, I love the tag title match, and we're going to talk about that. And there were, like, a lot of fun bits, like Harley Cameron, obviously. But Kenny and Ospreay just have this energy between the two of them that you can't really replicate. And it's just, like, again, we joke on the pod all the time. We hate this word. But there's an aura to those two together. You know, I'm going to be really corny and I'm going to age myself quite a bit. It's like the first time the Green Ranger partnered up with the Red Ranger. It's like, this is fucking cool, you know? But I very much enjoyed the segment. I love, so it's funny because I think both men delivered good promos. I think Kenny and Will both delivered on the mic. But Kenny's line does not correlate or does not directly reflect what Ospreay was saying. Ospreay said to him, I can't remember the last time we were in a ring together not beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And Kenny says something along the lines of, you can't remember the last time we were in the ring together, but I can remember the last time we were in the ring together, and that was Forbidden Door. And that's not what Will said, but it still led to, like, a good, like, delivery from Kenny, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and I think it still could have worked. You should have just worded it differently.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's just, look, I love Kenny, but we all know he's not the best mic guy. Like, he is great at what he does, but it's definitely not his number one strength. So sometimes it's easy to pick up when he does stumble a little bit. But again, everything he delivered well. It just wasn't a natural back and forth flow because he's
the best bout machine. He's not the best promo machine. Like,
exactly.
Kenny's always at his best too when he is just being an anime or like a villain. Like, that's when he's at his best, and he's not doing that at the moment. So he's gonna have these small little stumbles every once in a while. But I think it still worked for what we needed tonight. So
no, absolutely. Look, I got an excellent backstage brawl. We talked about it in our chat a little bit, or I did, I should say, that on some level, it almost was too good for Kenny and Will, because in a backstage brawl where they did not have the numbers and all was fair, they overcame the bad guys pretty, I don't want to say easily, because it was a fight and it was prolonged, but they came out on top 2 against 4. So there's a level of almost like, damn, what threat does the Callis family actually present here? But I'm willing to overlook it because of how cool everything was. The table spot onto Archer, the dueling moonsaults off of the truss and off of where the seats are. All of it was cool. So the rule of cool always applies. If it's cool, you just go with it.
You hear that,
Don't
NFL?
challenge it. So I loved it. I'm excited to see the chemistry Kenny and Ospreay are going to have as a team, because this is going to be the first time ever that they're teaming up. They've had tag team matches against each other before, both regular tag and trios, but this is going to be the first time they're on the same side. So that is very appealing. That is very exciting. And I think Grand Slam Australia just got a lot better. You know, like you said, we knew this match was coming, but now that it's official, it's like, wow, this match is official. And I do want to go to the comments real quick, because you know it's right.
Pissed. You got it?
The first one, hi guys, WTF, AEW truck, how could you miss both Will's and Kenny's leaps? He's not wrong. The first initial camera grab for it was not great. That you barely see, I think, Kenny hitting his moonsault or Will hitting his moonsault first.
I think Kenny went first.
Yeah, and like we got it on the replay.
Yeah, it was a weird angle. It was like behind the truss, so you kind of can see Kenny leaping, but it's interfered with by all the pipes and everything. And then Will's, you could kind of see, but like you didn't see anybody land. There were some very odd angles there, especially considering there were cameras on the floor there, so I don't know where they were. I guess, as you said, they did get it on the replay. But bringing up some good point. Like, how long we've been dealing with this type of crap where they do miss these big shots. There was
another one later in the night, too, that I was like, that's egregious that we didn't see that.
Which one? Do you remember? Or
it was in the ring, and we missed a spot that was so clearly like a big spot. And it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, stop panning to the crowd at the worst fucking moments.
Yeah, this isn't like Kevin Dunn levels of just, I need to cut everything 5 seconds and end up missing stuff, or AJ Styles' debut. This is just, they just blatantly miss. I don't know if it's directing. I don't know if it's camera work. But, it's very upset saying Backyard Wrestling would have gotten a shot. Even Producer Boy would have gotten a shot. So
Producer Boy can't even produce our show. He's not going to get anything on Dynamite. I know Danny's here because he changed the cat. Like, I know that he's here because that was not the cat that we started with.
No, honestly, I feel like I'm just going to talk, and then when Danny feels like interrupting, he's going to interrupt.
Yeah. Jordan Kirby in the
What's
comments. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay will beat Kyle and Takeshita. I think so too. And it's the most confident I've been in Kenny getting a win over the Callis family ever. And I think it's mainly just because this team is too OP to lose, and they need to get Kenny out of the storyline as soon as possible. Quite frankly, they need to get Will out of the storyline as soon as possible. So yeah, I'm predicting a babyface win.
Yeah, I would agree too, because it allows them to close any and all loops they had with Kenny and Will facing off against the family. Yeah. Hopefully Kenny can just beat the piss out of Don, and then that ends all of it, and they can go on to do what they have to do, which might be going after the Death Riders and Moxley in the title. So hopefully that's the case, and we can do it as quickly as possible. And then we'll see where they end up going. They could go separate ways. They could, again, both go towards Moxley. They could go completely different directions. Who knows?
I do want to call Will out on one thing, though. That Will said, oh, yeah, Mox is holding the belt hostage. I've been wanting to get over there, but I keep getting, like, interrupted, or I keep, like, being intercepted by the Callis family. That's not really true. Like, the last time he interacted with anybody with the Callis family was in the tournament against Fletcher in, like, the semis. And I don't think he's like Will chose that. Like, Will chose to be in the tournament.
Not only that, too, I mentioned this last week. I know you were out on the IR there, but Will was confronted by Darby Allin during the tournament saying, we need your help against these assholes. And Will was like, bro, I lost back-to-back pay-per-view matches. I need to like get my shit straight first, and then I'll come over and help. And he went 1-1 on the last pay-per-view. I guess you could put it that way. But even after that, Will hasn't really been looking towards the title picture. He hasn't mentioned that he's going towards the title picture. What's happened is he's been with Kenny.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to go for the title and was dealing with the Callis family and then entered the tournament, and that was what he was trying to say. But, yeah, for the most part, what he said was fairly untrue.
The cat's name is Grayson.
Yeah, I saw him change that too. So he's there. Like I said, he's gonna pop up when he wants to. But yeah, look, I'm excited for this match. It's one of those things where we say everybody in this match at Grand Slam is too talented for it not to be good.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a really good, probably even great tag team match. I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a lot of fun.
One last thing I wanted to add to it. I am actually really happy it's a tag match for the sake of Takeshita, because I don't want to see Kenny or Ospreay take the title off of Takeshita. And if this is how Kenny gets his win back over Takeshita without winning the title, I'm okay. Like, I'm happy to see that. If Kenny pins Takeshita in this tag match and then just chooses not to pursue the international title, I'm okay with that.
I was actually going to ask before you said it, who do you think takes the pin then? Because do you want the international champion to be pinned? I know Kenny then gets his win back, but Will and Fletcher look like they're done. I think they're one apiece, I think. Yeah. So you could leave that alone. I was thinking maybe you have Kenny pin Fletcher. And then this way you kind of avoid anything in terms of going for the international title. And I know Kenny does need his win back eventually, but he doesn't have to get it back right away. So
I mean, hey, right away, as if he hasn't been gone for over a year.
All right, well, away following his return.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I mean, that works too, honestly, but only if there are plans to follow it up for the trilogy, because Kenny lost. No, it wasn't a trilogy, but Kenny lost it to Takeshita twice in like a week.
Yeah, that's true.
So
one of them was a tag match, but yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, whatever route they go, I do think it's imperative that Kenny and Ospreay get the win.
Yeah, 100%. You know it in the chat saying Danny's holding back until James re-injures himself, pushing it too hard on the first day back. Technically, this is James's second day back because he did TNA.
TNA. I had a moment today where I got legitimately nervous that I damaged my arm. And it was me. The irony is I injured my arm in the first place trying to rescue a cat out on the street. And I got really worried that I re-injured my arm today, breaking up a cat fight between two of my boys in the house. And these things are trying to kill me. I know it now. They're trying to kill me, but I will survive. I will.
Yeah, you know it's saying, hope it's not a season-ending injury. It looks season-ending. I think it already did.
I'll be back. Let's see. The doc said 4 weeks. Sling's coming off. Then he said 3 months for like dribbling and maybe like light swimming. And then 6 months for contact sports.
Dribbling like a basketball?
Yeah. Like that motion of like moving the shoulder and everything. And then 6 months I'll be able to do contact sports. Little did he know. No. No intention, Doc.
Does he think like you did? Does he think you did this playing contact sports?
I let him know very clearly this was in the pursuit of cat rescue. Like I did not lie. I did not hesitate. I did not withhold. So I think he thinks I'm more active than I am. And God bless him. God bless him. But no, thank you.
Well, you do have that perfect bill of health, so that's probably why.
Damn right. As I drink a fruit punch Snapple.
Nice. All right. the sake of time, let's get things back on track here as we headed into a vignette for Pac as he was going to be in the main event up against Adam Copeland, and then that led into a backstage promo.
Do I not get to talk about the opening segment?
Fuck you.
You do now.
I did 20 minutes and 41 seconds on the clock. Fuck you.
And not once did anyone throw to me. Like, what the hell?
I explicitly said Danny's just going to come in and interrupt, and that's when he can join.
I was trying hard not to interrupt. You know, I was waiting my turn patiently.
Well, now that you've waited, what do you got on the opening segment here?
Oh, I disagree with almost everything James said. I don't know what he's talking about. This was fantastic. It was
I complimented it.
Opening segments they've done in a long time. I can't even remember the last opening segment that was this good. I mean, not that they do a lot of opening segments, but this shit was damn near perfection, bro. Like, you're gonna nitpick the Kenny. I noticed that shit too. That he responded to Ospreay's thing in a way that is a little off, but you know, he's just saying, "Hey, I remember when we were just in a ring in general, and you stabbed me with the screwdriver." You know, look, if someone stabs you with the screwdriver, you're gonna bring it up in conversation no matter what. Okay, you have an agenda to push, and you're gonna push it in those moments. Okay,
I've been hitting the head with a baseball bat, and I bring it up all the time. James punched me in the face. I bring it up all the time.
Bro, I hit my friend in the head with a wrench by accident one time. Never let that shit go.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
let it go.
And of course, James has a screwdriver, and now I'm nervous.
Is that for your shoulder? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing?
He's gonna screw it back in every.
Hey man, I got 6 in there now.
This shit was awesome, bro. The brawl was great, and the more important, I mean, it was bad that they missed like the flips, but it was worse that they missed Ospreay being thrown down the stairs because the cameraman had to walk around the crowd to get behind him. That was so dumb. Like, actually would have been cool if like we had kind of saw him fall from one angle, but we didn't see him land. But it was a miss. It could have been cool in theory, but. And he also walked by Kenny getting beat up. He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to see that. Like, you know, that's not important. I want to catch this." But, bro, it doesn't matter that the two of them stood tall in this shit because, like you said, James, it was cool as fuck. And that kind of shit just happens. Also, let's be real. We know they're winning. So, like, who cares, bro? Like, all this did was make everyone hype. And that's all this needed was for us to be hype for the match. So it was a success in my book. One of the best openings of Dynamite in a long time. And one of their better segments in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
This shit was good. And I love Will just cards on the table right away. Like, listen, bruv, like I need help. You know, like it's not like last time you were here. I was a dick last time you were here. I'm not with these assholes anymore. I'm on my own. He's like, I want to help with this with Moxley, but he's like, I suck, bro. Like, I don't have the record to go for a title match. You know, that's for guys like Cope who, you know, just came back from injury. But, you know, he's like, I can't deal with that. I got to deal with the Don Callis family. And this match in Grand Slam is going to be awesome. We'll probably get one more Ospreay Fletcher match after that, and that'll be that. And then maybe Ospreay can save us from the Death Riders, which I'll take anyone at this point. Ospreay, Kenny, whoever. Anyone but Cope, pretty much.
I want to get into that because without spoiling it, because we're going to talk about it later, the person who saved Cope is also somebody that, while I love him at this point, I don't want it to be him.
Oh my God, yeah, that fucking... I didn't care about the ending of the show at all. And then that happened, and it made me mad instead of caring. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, they threw him out. They threw. I'm just gonna say they threw Switch out in a bad spot there. They did.
I didn't understand any of that. It made no sense to me at all.
And how many times is he gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe of Wheeler Yuta punching him in the dick? Like.
Oh, God. But we'll get into that later. Yeah. We'll get into that later. But one thing I do want to compliment the other team for in the opening segment, I love how natural things are looking for Fletcher lately. Ospreay went for the initial offense on him in the ring. Like he goes for the head scissors, and he just catches him. He just powers through him. Ospreay's able to like wiggle out of it. What was that, like, powerbomb attempt? But like he knows how to catch him, and he's strong enough to do it, and it looked cool. And then Kenny went for his tope suicida, and he catches him with that super kick, and it just flowed so well. And I don't think anyone has shown so much growth and so much development in AEW the way Fletcher has. And sorry, that's not a knock on where his skill level was before, because he's always been physically talented. He's always been athletically gifted. But he's so clearly operating on a different level nowadays than where he was before. And it's awesome to see.
Yeah, no, it really is. I had something and I completely forgot what it was. I'm distracted by just roasting James on the comments because all the red and the blue. You look like a guy who's going to deliver your pizza.
I'm wearing a Swerve shirt and a Cena hat and a blue ice pack.
Yeah, it's the blue ice pack that's really doing it.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Domino's, apparently.
Yeah,
First of all,
for legal reasons, no, it's not.
Hey, if Domino's wants to sponsor us, absolutely. Your cheesy bread, magnifique. No notes.
Peak of the art form.
Listen, you guys really had something with thin crust, okay? It was revolutionary. It changed the game. Give us money.
It also quickly saying that they've been making he's been getting screwed on TV lately, and they've been making him look bad a little too much. I would agree, but again, we will talk about that later.
Yeesh.
All right, now let us move on. As I was saying, we had a packed vignette for his match in the main event with Copeland, which led into a Jon Moxley backstage promo with Wheeler and Marina flanking him on either side. Moxley says that Copeland went to sleep in 2011 and woke up in 2025, technically 2024, because that's when he came back, to a world that he doesn't understand, where the animals are bigger, faster, and stronger than they ever were. There are plenty of weak people in this company, and Mox would be more than happy to stack Copeland's body on top of their carcasses. Mox then brings up Copeland's weak neck, mentioning how weak it was, just like Bryan Danielson's was weak, and also bringing up how he granted Darby's death wish. He then says that maybe next time when Copeland goes to the doctor, he doesn't get good news, and if that happens, Moxley says he won't lose a second of sleep over it. He said some more stuff, but honestly, he was just rambling by that point, so I didn't write it down.
Can I say that I actually thought this promo was fantastic? It's just about something I don't care about. But like the verbiage was actually fucking really good. There was some killer lines in there.
The Brian line was great.
Yep.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter anymore. Like it's a shame because I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we thought they were going to be. And that was like glimpses of what it was in the beginning, but we're just so far off the rails now that I'm like, oh, well, that was really cool, but like, I still don't care, It
reminds me of like the dark days of Bray in WWE, where like every time Bray cut a promo or had a vignette, it was cool, but we had been down that road so many times hearing basically the same thing over and over that no matter how good it was, we've been there and we know this character is just treading water regardless.
Yeah.
That's where I am with Mox right now. Like, I'm not ready to just throw the Death Riders away personally, but a lot about tonight bothered me. A lot about tonight with the Death Riders bothered me. I agree. This promo was good from Mox, but like something with Claudio really bothered me. Something with the main event segment kind of bothered me. And it's just like, I don't know how they were given this gift by Brian. This ultimate heat from Brian. And it feels like it's squandered. It's just disappointing.
Yeah, I think they burned through most of it at this point, which is very disappointing because you do still get really cool stuff from them, stuff like this. But it's just like the overarching storyline at this point is kind of, as you said, kind of with Bray Wyatt, James. It's just kind of killed the momentum that they had.
Yeah.
And it sucks because everybody in this group is really good to great or Wheeler.
I like that you both use the word disappointed because it's like, I'm not mad you murdered Bryan Danielson.
I'm disappointed they just I'm disappointed they didn't take the heat they got from it and use it effectively.
I don't know. If my parent told me they were mad at me, whatever. If my parent told me they were disappointed in me, I would be that hurts.
I'm trying to think that ever happened to me. I don't know. I think my mom just likes Matt more, my brother, and that's her way of saying she's disappointed in me. He is the golden child. He's the golden child.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about that in therapy later. But anyway,
moving on. Next up, we had Private Party against the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This match was kind of what I expected it to be, which was an ass whooping. Because as we headed into commercial, we had Private Party attempt to hit Stereotope Suicidas, but both Bobby and my man Shelton Benjamin caught both of them, and they were each able to hit fall-away belly-to-belly suplexes. And then Bobby took Zay and just planted him through the announce table, which shattered into a billion pieces as we went into the break. Later in the match, after Zay got hit with a Lashley spear, Quen came into the ring to break up the pin and was successful at that. But that just spelled the end for them as Quen got absolutely wrecked, getting hit with a suplex from Shelton and a massive choke slam from Bobby before being driven out of the ring. Shelton then tossed Zay into the corner, and he hit him with a rising knee strike. And then as Zay stumbled out of the corner, he got hit with another spear from Lashley. And then Lashley pinned Zay for the win, giving us new tag team champions. Fun fact, this is the first time Bobby Lashley has ever held a World Tag Team Championship, ever, which they said multiple times on commentary, but it's still really weird. But Danny, this, I think, like I said, it was kind of what I expected. I wish it was a better, longer match just because I like Private Party. But storyline-wise, it makes sense because they made Shelton and Bobby look so fucking dominant in this match. I said after, I was like, I don't know what the record for longest reigning tag title is in AEW, but these guys should break it.
Oh, I 100% agree with that sentiment. They absolutely should break it. I thought this match was I didn't need more time. I thought this was just
I agree.
Like smash mouth enough, like fuck him up and get out of there. You know, like rest in peace, Private Party. You guys were great. You know, I'm sorry your reign got shortchanged. That's not fair to you guys, but you're young. There'll be other times. It's not over. But the Hurt Syndicate are just so cool right now. They're so over, and they bring a legitimacy to them that I am already completely sold on this title reign. They need to hold it for a minimum of 6 months, but I'd rather somewhere closer to 10, like plus, like this.
So,
may I run through opponents?
May I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
Who do we think has the longest reign with the tag titles, and how long do we think it is? Because I have the answer in front of me.
Okay, hold on. Let me think about it.
My guess is Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
No, maybe, but it's got to be one.
I felt like they just had
reigns, right? Like
I felt like they had so many random like multi-team tag matches that it allowed them to keep the titles for a lot longer than maybe they should have.
Is it not this previous Young Bucks reign?
All right. Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. It is the Young Bucks.
Damn.
But it wasn't this previous reign. It was their initial reign, their very first reign. Their first reign was 300. Yes. It was 302 days. Alternatively, Jurassic Express, which was Reb's pick, was 161 days. And the Bucks' most recent reign was 192 days.
So those are the top three, or
no? That's not the top three. So the
okay.
top three would be Bucks number 1, Kenyon Hangman number 2.
Yeah, they were up there for me, but I wasn't against them.
Number 3 is the Bucks again. But if we don't want to include the Bucks again, it would be FTR's second reign.
I don't remember anything about their second reign besides
me neither.
that happened.
They lost it to Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
Yeah, okay, that's memorable too, but I don't remember anything from start to finish. But all right, cool. Anyway, I think articulating myself pretty well before I was rudely interrupted by James.
You were. That's on me.
Stutter and stumble along the way a little bit, but it's great that we had that fun fact, I guess. But
I apologize.
I would like Swerve. No, I'm already off. I was gonna say Swerve in Our Glory. I would like a Swerve in Our Glory style run from these guys, except they already have the pre-built chemistry. You know how like Swerve in Our Glory was like this reign at first. You're like, well, really? That's what you're doing, and then it turned into this fantastic reign.
Yeah,
that's why I feel here. Like, oh, you're putting the Bobby in as the tag champ. It's like, yeah, bro, because he's gonna legitimize the shit out of this division because they're gonna just hurt people for months, and it's gonna be so entertaining. Just have him beat FTR, have him beat this. Is how like sparse the tag division is. Like, I don't even know who else to put against them right now, but like, put these guys against them, have them beat them, just have them have good matches, 15-minute matches. Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley in a 15-minute match, they're gonna fucking kill people. I'm here for it. Let's do that sort of thing. And the tag division feels safe. Everyone was worried about AEW's tag division in 2024, and I'm not worried right now. How could you be worried right now? And it does a very important thing of keeping Bobby out of the singles division.
Yes.
Not because he shouldn't be in it, but because now's not the time, and we need to keep him preoccupied because
you could only justify him not being in it for so long without it being egregious. This is a legit reason to keep him out of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And as we talked about last week, it gets gold on these two guys immediately.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect storm of things. Like, yeah, it kind of came at the cost of Private Party, and the only reason I just wanted a longer match is because I wanted them to get a little more offense in as fans of them. But I do understand what this match was doing, and I'm perfectly okay with what it did because, as I said, Bobby and Shelton look like beasts, James. And so, 400-day reign with them going through, most, if not all of the tag team division. I know Danny said FTR, but you're going to see them go up against guys like Top Flight and the other half kind of Top Flight. Was it Leo Rush and actually Andretti? And
but those are people that should beat in 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're gonna just
that's being generous. That's being generous too.
They're gonna have tag title matches where they're just ripping through anybody remotely resembling a tag team, and it's gonna be awesome.
No, absolutely. Like it's funny that you mentioned wanting to see Private Party get more offense in because I watching it, I was like, wow. Something that is making me so happy is also making me so sad. I have been on the Bobby train, I think, longer than anybody here on the pod. I have been his WWE run, his TNA run, his initial WWE run. I've just been a gigantic Bobby Lashley fan for a very
I got
long
in
time.
During the Bellator run.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Hey, I was rooting for him at Great American Bash 2007, okay?
That was him versus. You wanted him to be who?
Cena.
Yeah, that was that match. Yeah. That was a good match, too.
I mean, that was at that point the best match of Bobby's career.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Genuinely.
Absolutely. And he looked like a boss. Cena had to hit, I think he hit a top rope AA to pin him.
Which means they just sell tougher than Bobby Lashley, by the way, just saying.
I'm not going to. There's a lot to dissect there. But I love that Bobby's in this position. I love that Shelton's in this position. And I want to address MVP on commentary, where he really sold Shelton as the captain of the match. Because he said Shelton is a multi-time former tag team champion. This is his match to lead. And I loved him addressing that. It makes Shelton feel important. I addressed a long time ago, early on in their debut, I was really worried that Shelton was going to be the stepping stone to Bobby. And they have done a great job of that not being the case.
Yeah, because
So-
they balanced it out between Shelton debuting first, so he racked up some wins.
Yep.
He only lost to Swerve and then
Yep.
in the C2, but that's the C2.
Yeah, that's different.
Uh,
Yeah.
And here, I really like that too. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about it. I also liked MVP on commentary. I think he promoted Private Party better than the company did.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
I
you know
think
it.
10
Agreed
minutes,
too.
He put them over huge. I'm like, bro, I was like, yeah, bro, MVP, like, you're lying to me, but like, I believe you, man. Like, it's like, bro, these guys have been like not booked well at all, and you're making me think that they have been, man. That's how good MVP is. He's so good at his job, bro. Like,
I liked everybody on commentary during this match too, because you got the story of it was Excalibur initially bringing up that Lashley had never won a tag title, and then MVP bringing up what you said, where it's like, no, Shelton's the guy, like he's the captain in this match because of that. But that's why we have this cohesion. MVP also, again, putting up Private Party, like you said, Danny. They did such a good job of telling a story there on commentary that it helped make the match that much better.
And I mean, that is just good heel work, because the moment you make your opponent seem like a threat or make them seem important and you beat them, that just makes you seem better.
Yeah.
And that's been preached for years. So I'm glad that MVP is still smart enough to do that.
Listen, that's a very Jericho. That's a Jerichoism right there.
It is.
That's what I was thinking
all the time, and it's like, yeah, this is the shit you do contribute still. Jericho is that mentality, but
No, I agree. I completely agree.
I forget why it was coming up on Squared Circle the other day, but yeah, that was people kept bringing it up for something that happened recently, and it's smart because it was like, say you're going up against somebody older than you, and you just run them down as an old man. If you lose, you lost to the old guy, and you look like trash. And if you win, then you beat the old guy you were supposed to win, or the jobber you were supposed to beat. So yeah, that's why MVP did a great job during this. And he, we were talking about Shelton not playing second fiddle, and I'm glad he's not. And MVP isn't playing second fiddle to either of these guys either. Granted, he's the mouthpiece, but he plays his role so well also that I like these three guys together are perfect. They really are perfect. So I'm thrilled they have gold. Like I said, let them run roughshod over, parts of this division, if not the whole thing. And, we'll see when they lose the titles, but hopefully it's not for a very, very long time, because they just keep them. They should not lose the titles until one of them is going to go on a singles title run. And that could be a while. So let them hang on to them forever.
I also, just last little compliment to this match and to both guys, and to Private Party too, because I kind of drifted away from the point I was trying to make in the beginning. You wanted more offense from Private Party, and in the very beginning, they brought the fight to Bobby in a way that they staggered Bobby that I wasn't expecting. And of course, Bobby eventually overcame. I think he tagged out to Shelton, and Shelton kind of stabilized, and then Bobby came back in.
Yeah.
But they did have their little brief moment, and like there was that like baby face, like, is there a chance kind of feeling for like half a second. Yeah. But this had the impending doom feeling that it needed to have. You have Shelton just chucking them with German suplexes. You have Bobby dropping them with spine busters and hitting them with spears. It's like, this is what they should be doing. And, it's a shame for Private Party, but I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. With Private Party, it was about the win. It was never going to be about the title reign.
Yeah, it was about the moment.
It was about that moment, and they got it, and it was great. And they're young that they'll be able to do it again. And the second reign can be about the reign and less about the win. So, yeah. All right, you have a request in the comments. You know that.
Yeah, it's saying he wants me to call him Benjamin Shelton at least once a show.
It feels very Vince.
Did I do that like last week? I think I did that like last week or the other week or something, and that's why he's having me do it. I like my Usos impression more. But I'll try to remember to do that. Remind me next week. But yeah, I'm curious to see really quick if they run back this match in the near future. Just Private Party getting the rematch, but we'll see. And I think they could get a little more offense and make it a bit of a longer match. But at the end of that, it's got to be still a dominant win by the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, apparently I did say that last one. Oh yeah, during the match, the crowd has been doing this a lot with Shelton. They chant one more time at him when he's like throwing guys up against a barricade or whatever, and he obliges, and it's great. People just love the Hurt Syndicate killing people, and that is why, or hurting people, let's say, and that's why they're great. They oblige. It's like, oh, you want us to hurt them more? Fine. They're not there for the crowd, but they'll oblige if the crowd is backing them to hurt people. And the "We Hurt People" chant is over, and I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Such a fun chant.
It really is. All right. After this, we had a Mariah promo package setting up for her match at Grand Slam against Toni Storm. She was talking about how she's the most disrespected champion, ever. And was talking a lot about AEW allowing Toni Storm, another version of a delusional Toni Storm, to once again challenge her. And she's like, I'll just do the same thing I did last time, which is absolutely killer. And then we went backstage for an interview with Toni Storm. And I have another request. So
yeah.
Put on your sunnies, Mike, because we're going down under. So Renee asked Toni what she's expecting in her match with Mariah at Grand Slam. But before she can say anything, she is interrupted by Harley Cameron, who comes over to wish Toni luck in her match from one non-quirky Australian to another. Toni responds by saying that there's no reason Harley can't wrestle in Australia too. Toni and Harley fully break down into Australian, and I will do my best to translate here, as Toni says that she thought people thought Harley was a bit of a bogan, which basically is somebody who's unrefined, unsophisticated. But the two of them put on a great match for a couple of girls in, for lack of a better phrase, revealing gear. Plus, Harley is great on the guitar. Harley then says that she initially thought Toni was a bit of a dag, which is someone who's kind of socially awkward but amusing, which goes along very great with this rookie Toni Storm. But after seeing her performance, she thought that was the type of woman she'd want to do a shoey with if she was still drinking. For those of you who don't know what shoeys are, you pour beer in a shoe and you chug it.
So simple. Like we should have seen that one coming.
Toni then says, "See you in Australia," and Harley's like, "Yeah, see you in Australia." And then they kind of like hug each other and hype each other up, and then Renee just looks at the camera and she's like, "I ain't get away with that." So this is amazing. Top tier.
We could have just cut to black on that after that.
Top tier work from these Sheilas. Yeah, no notes. All right, I'm done.
All right, clip that, producer boy.
Thank you. I don't know if it'll get in a 1 minute segment there, but hopefully, James.
No, I'm loving it. First, Harley is perfect, and that's not a hyperbole. She is perfect. She has understood exactly what has gotten her over, and she has managed to keep it going without forcing it or making it feel awkward or overdoing it. It's just perfect with her. And Toni is a great. What was that?
Said I agree.
Yeah, and Toni is the perfect partner to bounce off of with silly stuff because she can sell it. She knows how to sell it in a surreal but natural way.
Just two non-quirky Australians.
Yep.
So go ahead.
No, I'm basically done. I'm basically done. So go for it.
Okay, so look, I know this is like a 1 minute segment and we shouldn't spend too much time on it, but like, god damn, this was perfect. Like you just said about Harley, and that is true. She is great. You can literally see how she has earned herself nonstop TV time.
Yep.
Like she was on this show twice because that's how. And you could tell this was not planned out. There was no plan for this 2 months ago, but she just became so entertaining and so beloved that she just keeps earning TV time every week. It's like I can't not have her on at least one of the shows this week. And even if I'm going to have her on Collision, I'm going to have her talk about how she's going to be on Collision on Dynamite. But to go specifically to this segment, I think it was brilliant because Toni disarmed Harley. This was the most awkward Harley's ever actually been because Toni out-weirded her because she just went full Australian on her and was like, okay, like you're a really like witty and clever person. Like Harley's so funny and clever. But then Tony's like, okay, but are you funny in Australian? Because I don't know if you're actually funny in Australian. She like called her out on it basically and dominated the segment where Harley was the awkward one responding, and it was beautiful. It's two delusional people, telling each other exactly. It's all you would want from a segment like this. This is my favorite thing. One of my favorite things about Asuka is when she cuts promos in Japanese. I don't understand a goddamn word of it. I don't know the language, but I understand what she means because she's that articulate about it and animated that I feel it. And that's what I felt here. Even though these two were technically speaking the English language, they were not saying real words. And I still have that same feeling.
You can't convince me they actually had a conversation. I refuse to believe it.
I only had to look up 2 words, and it was Dag and the other one. Which one was it? Bogan.
Baggy,
Other than that, I knew everything they said.
Yeah, it's not a real language. It's not. But that's the vibe I got from this. That's why it's so great. I love that shit, bro. Like, you can cut a promo in any language, including this made up one that they used tonight. As long as you're passionate, it comes across. Like the language doesn't actually matter. It still just matters how you say it. It'll come across.
I will push back you in a little bit because it wasn't them like trying to out weird each other or anything. It was Toni like legitimately trying to like gas up Harley, be like you're good enough to go and wrestle at Grand Slam like in our home country. Like you deserve to do that. And then Harley was like, yeah, thanks. And also like you're also pretty cool too. So yeah, like it was actually them trying to pick each other up.
The context of what they were saying.
Oh, you just mean like in terms of like them just doing big,
the meta-ness of what they're saying, yeah. Because they don't have that thick of an accent, they put it on.
Oh yeah, Toni put it on.
Actually does not have a strong accent in comparison, and like to the point where her put on accent was like not as put on as Toni, whereas Toni was like really playing. That's what I mean by out weird. It's just like I'm going to dominate this interaction, and you're the one who's going to be on the back foot reacting to me, and that was impressive. That was very impressive in every sense. Kayfabe, how's the kayfabe? It was great.
Do you know what this was? This was the Australian version of the scene in Austin Powers 3 where him and his father speak English in front of the American girls. The one of those little 6s and 7s, like that's what this was. And this is the greatest segment AEW has ever done. I'm declaring this is the best segment they have ever done.
I don't know.
For Ospreay and Kenny, they have to be on the same show as this.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other night, kid, you guys would have had the segment, but not tonight.
Why didn't we lead with this? Like we should have led with this. It's ridiculous.
Main event, sure. Why not?
It was perfect. I loved every second of it.
You know what's crazy is we blew our load here. We're gonna end up talking about Harley again.
Yeah, no. Should we just go into the next Harley segment?
It's so far down the card. Do you want to do it now?
No, but we got to do it. We got to do it because
let's ride
Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get that.
All right. So later in the show, we were backstage with Mercedes Moné, and she cut her little entrance promo thing, and then she walks up to whatever reason. Her locker room always has a bunch of like tables and balloons outside of it. So she walks up there, and Renee's waiting for her. Renee asked Mercedes about taking things global with her 4 titles and what she has planned for 2025. And Mercedes says that she has indeed taken things global, and her next stop will be wrestling in Australia. And then she wonders who's going to be the next person to jump on the Moné train. Harley then slides in with her guitar, singing her challenge.
Literally slides in.
Yeah.
Needs to be expressed. Slides in.
Yep, singing her challenge to fight Mercedes at Grand Slam. I'm not even going to try to do it justice. It was just great. Once Harley finishes, Mercedes laughs at her, saying that she's gone all over the world fighting the very best, while Harley has never even won a match on AEW television. So the answer is going to be Nair, which is somehow or sometimes how people in Australia.
Right. You gotta say it right.
It's Nair.
No, it's not Ner. It's Nar.
No.
It depends on where you are.
No, but the way we say it to make fun of them is like NAUR. Like.
I'm doing it the way Mercedes did it.
Yeah, and I'm doing it the way Mercedes did it.
Version of it.
Oh. I thought you went
I can't do it either. I'm not good at it, but.
Wait, hold on though. Let's take a second here. Upon being corrected about his R-nar, he said, it depends on where you're from. So not only does this man do, yes, not only do you have an Australian accent in your back pocket, you're also saying that you know and can differentiate the different dialects.
I don't know them specifically, but I know people have different,
I think it's funnier that he's like, it depends on where you're from. Dude, you're from the Bronx.
But people in Sydney sound different from people in Perth,
No, I know. It's like the British accents. Pac sounds different than Will Ospreay and shit, like.
Very much so.
No, I get that. But the way Americans say it is very, like, put on. It's like NWAUR, like the way they like say it. But I digress. I don't know about James.
Yeah, I would say we're getting in the weeds here.
I will say I thought the segment was great too.
Yeah.
I think it's great that they finally acknowledge that Harley hasn't gotten a win, because now it's going to become a story. And when she gets that fucking win, the roof is going to blow off the place. I almost don't want her to fight Mercedes because I want her to get the win in Australia so she can get an insane reaction.
No, that's the not the worst part about this, but that is the most troubling part about this. You have to justify her getting the title shot. So theoretically, she needs to get that win. But I want nothing more than for her to accidentally pin Mercedes and win the title.
Or like I mean, they can. I would be okay with her annoying Mercedes into giving her a title shot.
Yeah, I would be too.
But because before this, I was gonna say they gotta have Harley in the card no matter what, and
yeah,
I was gonna pitch, and I know she's like a controversial figure, but I was gonna say her first win should probably be against Saraya, because that's the person who got her on TV, the most before she took her sabbatical. So like, that if you like, that should be the person she gets her first win against. But like, I understand like she's requested time off, and maybe the timing doesn't work out, or I know a lot of people don't necessarily want her back, but logically that would make sense. And that's someone who would like doesn't lose anything by being Harley's first victory. But like I don't know, like Harley just needs to be on the show.
It's a big win for Harley without being a major loss for Saraya. And exactly. I think that's key. I want to address this comment here from returning Maria. Hi, Maria. Harley has no business in this spot with Mercedes.
You're right, but
yes, yes.
Like, come on.
But you know what's perfect about that? And I didn't get annoyed while watching it, but it was one of those things that I'm like, Mercedes isn't necessarily the chicken shit heel character. She not overtly, but she has tried ducking fights before. If you're Mercedes Moné and you want to get onto a pay-per-view, why wouldn't you take a match with Harley Cameron?
Just to beat her.
Yeah, right? Like, if I am a heel champion who doesn't want to put the work in, I would want to wrestle Harley. And that makes so much sense to me as, like, the downfall of her title reign is that she's so arrogant that Harley can't possibly keep up with her, that Harley surprises her and gets the win. I think there is a lot of meat on that. But I don't know.
You could. I also think, though, that a lot of Mercedes' character is, well, money. And she would probably realize that the money match isn't with Harley because Harley doesn't have any wins. Like, yeah, she's from Australia, but that's not going to draw. Mercedes wants a top-tier name. She's big game hunting at this point. If you don't have a title, you better be a fucking star because she doesn't want to face you otherwise.
And according to Maria in the comments, it's time for Mercedes versus Athena. We have been waiting for a long time. Now, yes, but Athena needs to finish business in Ring of Honor. And she needs to finish business with Billy Starks.
She's also on a bit of like excursion at this point, isn't she?
Yeah,
she's
mostly in
Ring of Honor
Japan
title.
right now.
Yeah, in Japan. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to wait a hot minute for that match.
It's because there's literally no other women in Ring of Honor to challenge her.
Yeah,
there is no one else left.
She should have lost the title to Billy Starks during the last match. But hey, you know what? If something's really good, I understand wanting to keep it going. I mean, I think we get Athena Mercedes this year, but we're not getting that in Australia. Like,
yeah, no.
You know, that's not the spot for it. I mean, if they want to do that at Revolution, I'm for that. I mean, Mercedes' title reign has to be coming to an end not relatively soon, but I'd say in the first quarter, maybe trimester of the year, you know, she loses that title. So, like, Athena's a great person to do it. I wouldn't be against it being Athena.
Maria's saying we see ROH champions on AEW all the time. You're right. Jericho himself was there tonight. Mark Briscoe had carried the TV title for some time. And the world title. Yeah, the world title for some time.
Joe had the TV title on AEW.
Yeah, Joe had the TV. My bad. But the reality is, Athena has been famously kept off of AEW television for a very long time, a frustrating amount of time.
But I think with good reason, though, right? It's with good reason because she is the champ in Ring of Honor, and were they to bring her onto AEW television, I would think that they would want to put her into big feuds. Maybe she would have to lose some. You don't want your champ losing those feuds. And if they're going to bring her in, I think they want her to go straight for a title, whether it's the TBS or the Women's World Championship. So I think they've been actively avoiding putting her on AEW television just so that she can come in and just tear through a division and get to a title quickly instead of not have two titles. You know, she loses the one title and she comes in, wins presumably the TBS, and we go from there.
The problem is we know she's been on a tear. Have you watched any of that tear?
Some of it. Not on Ring of Honor. Not on Ring of Honor. Tell maybe the pay-per-views and the and when she's on the pre-show of AEW, but not the week to week.
The reality is, it's the age-old question. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. And that's very much this title reign for Athena. If you're having an incredible reign, but nobody sees it, how incredible is it? And that's a shame. But the tragedy of it all is that Athena has been doing so well for so long in front of nobody, as opposed to a much larger and I don't want to say much more appreciative audience, but an audience that's clamoring for it.
I mean, I don't agree with the if a tree falls in the forest analogy because, you know, this is a piece of art and, like, you know, the best song isn't the most played and most heard song, you know. James might have written the best song, but he hasn't let anyone hear it. So, like, that doesn't mean it's not the best. Like, I think James's rap is one of the best raps of all time. So, like, you know, does that mean it's not good because not a lot of people have heard it? Like, come on. I don't think that's a perfect analogy. I understand what you mean, though.
I'm glad we got it in there, though.
Anything to bring up James needing to rap for this podcast.
Absolutely.
If anything, we should just get Harley to do it because she's amazing. I did want to say really quick at the end of this, after Mercedes laughed at Harley and walked away, Renee just looked at Harley and was like, at least the song was good. And Harley just sounds like, feel the wrath, like so sad. It was a great punctuation. Renee always has such good like punctuations to the ends of her segments. Yeah. It's one of the best things I think she does. All right, let's get back on track here. After we had the Aussie off, we went to commercial and then came back to what initially started as a backstage interview with Jeff Jarrett, as Alex Marvez was trying to ask Double J about the heinous things that were said between him and MJF last week. But Karen came over and asked to speak to Jeff, so Marvez fucked off. Karen says that what happened with MJF week, where Jeff got back into the mud with Max, a reminder of the old times when Jarrett used to do that stuff a lot, and she didn't want him to fall back into those old habits. Jeff's like, Karen, I know, don't worry about it. Kiss her on the forehead, and then heads out to the ring to cut a promo. When he gets there, he starts talking about how he was thinking about how he was going to address what happened last week, and as he was doing so, he thought of somebody else from Tennessee, Jerry the King Lawler, who got mostly applause, but some boos. Jarrett tells a story about... Oh, go ahead, James.
No.
Don't interrupt him. He's telling what happened, James. Come on.
You're right. That's on me.
Anyway, Jarrett tells a story about how when he was younger, he was in a tag match where he was just getting his ass kicked, both physically and verbally. So towards the end of the match, when he was trying to get in some final haymakers, he also started throwing some verbal haymakers as well. Then after the match, when he went to his dressing room, he was met there by Lawler, who got in his face and told him never to go low and get in the mud when his opponents do. So Jeff says that sometimes it's good to come home and remember who you are. And then he says some shit about Max. I forget what it was. He then turns his attention to his goal of winning the AEW World Championship, saying that the people are the ones who have given them the energy to go for it, starting with the Owen Cup. And then he calls out Moxley, telling him to come out there so they can talk. However, it's Claudio Castagnoli's music who hits, and while Jarrett is looking for him to come through the crowd, Claudio instead comes through more from where the ramp was. I don't know if he came down the ramp or through the crowd on that angle, but either way, he's able to sneak up on Jarrett and attack him from behind, hitting him with an uppercut. Claudio then kneels over the downed Jarrett, saying that nobody gets to Moxley without going through him first, and tells the old man to stay out of their business before walking away. Old man being his words, not mine. Jarrett then gets back up and tells Claudio to turn his ass around before saying he knows that Claudio knows that Moxley is his goal, so he has a proposal. It'll be Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio Castagnoli next week, and if Jarrett wins, he'll get his world title shot. Claudio says that he finds the idea of beating Jarrett lifeless very intriguing and says that he will meet Jeff next week. So, James, I don't know if this is what you were referring to about disliking something Claudio did, because I know I didn't love it either, because I was expecting him just to say no. Like, why would you ever give Jarrett the opportunity to have the opportunity to go after Moxley? I know he's being extremely arrogant here, but it did seem kind of dumb.
Just real quick before James goes into it, this was another one of the production things that was weird on this show, because the camera followed Claudio for so long as he was walking away for no reason. Like, he wasn't doing anything. He was literally leaving the scene. And they just lingered on him for so long. And I'm like, bro, he's just walking normally. There's nothing to this. Why are you on him? It was so weird. But anyway, go ahead. Shit on this, James.
This was the first time I really missed what the Blackpool Combat Club was in comparison to the Death Riders.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's because the Blackpool Combat Club was never built around any one guy.
Reach.
It was a group of guys who all had their own agendas, who all supported each other, but every person had their story, and every person had their goals, and every person was valuable in their own right. Claudio became Ring of Honor champion with that group. Moxley became a multi-time AEW champion with that group. Bryan, yeah, sure, it didn't end well, but he AEW world champion with that group. Yuta, pure champion multiple times with that group. And now Claudio's role is, you don't get to the boss unless you get through me. It devalues him so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that. I hate that. Like, granted, we've seen week in and week out, they are flunkies and they are there to protect Mox and his title reign. And we see that. But at the same time, Mox might be the voice, but they all had the same agenda. Now there's a tier system, and I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And again, this isn't the Blackpool Combat Club. This is a different group with mostly the same members. But it's just so disappointing to see them fall apart like that, especially when, like, I spend the time talking every week how I love how they're presenting Shelton as not lesser to Bobby, even though we all wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know Bobby is the centerpiece of that group. Shelton is treated like an equal, or presented, I should say, as an equal. That is not the case here. And that really sucks. At least to me, I think that's garbage.
I agree.
And to Rev's point too, yeah, I agree. It does make Claudio seem foolish for even entertaining it. But I will say one thing. He didn't actually agree to the stipulation. He kind of just said, it'll just be entertaining or it'll be interesting to take you apart. So I'll see you next week. He didn't actually say, sure, yeah, your stipulation, it works. We all know it will be, but he didn't really technically agree to it. So I don't know. It's a bummer to see Claudio. Like, I'm going into a match now with Claudio knowing he's probably going to lose.
And if I can, oh, sorry, go ahead, James.
I was just gonna say, and I don't like that, but please go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I could piggyback off of your rant that I agree with heavily. One, the idea of Claudio losing to Jeff Jarrett is really depressing to me. Two, I'm gonna go on the other side of this, and while you focused on the Claudio Death Riders aspect of it, I'm gonna focus on the Jarrett aspect of it. Now, we're very big Jarrett apologists on this pod. You know, we AEW Jarrett we're gonna specify. We're not TNA Jarrett, not Global Force Wrestling Jarrett. Okay.
Not WCW Jarrett, not WWF Jarrett, specifically AEW Jarrett.
That guy gets it, you know. But after last week I was so brutally turned off. We all were to this. Like, it jumped the shark and then it shot the shark like on its way over. Like, it was terrible. And this week they admitted it was terrible. They had two different promo segments where the guys admitted that this shit was bad, and they are now like away from each other for a week or two to just like get that stink off. And like, that's how bad, that's how much this is falling off the rails, until the point where like, oh shit, I'm out on this too. I don't care. I was gonna, when Ref threw to me, I was just gonna be like, I've given up on this Jarrett story, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to, like, I wasn't going to say much about it, but James's rant got me like a little, you know, in the spirit. But I'm so far removed from this now too, like, because if this was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, if this was before the Death Riders went off the rails, I'd be like, cool, fucking yeah, murder Jeff Jarrett, make me sad, I'm on board, you know, like that's cool, you know, it's good. But now I'm like, bro, everyone sucks. I was like, you almost ruined MJF, motherfucker. Like, what the hell? This is not cool. Like, and the fact they, like I said, multiple different segments to admit that the promo last week was that freaking bad, and to go from that bad of a segment to then interacting with the universally disliked story of the Death Riders, like, that's I feel bad for Jarrett, because, you know, like, he was doing so well, and he could have gone out on like a a really nice high. But like now I'm like, all right, whatever. Like at least they're getting it over with. You know, like fuck it.
Yeah.
I guess. Like I'm lost. I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, we'll
think
see what happens with Jarrett and MJF, James. I don't know where they're really going to go.
Also,
I mean,
boo
like
Jerry Lawler, bro. Stop bringing that guy up.
he did get a little booed. I will say that.
I think now is a great time to share my personal Jerry Lawler story. And it was at New York Comic Con a few years ago. I want to say probably like 6 years ago.
So pre-pandemic.
Yeah. And
So you were 32 at the time?
Hurtful. For no reason, hurtful.
Mean.
I was waiting for a friend to get out of the bathroom. So I'm just standing by the wall. Jacob Javits. What?
Continue your story.
Hayter. And I'm waiting by the wall outside the bathroom, and all of a sudden I see Jerry Lawler walking with a young woman, you know, a young, pretty attractive woman. And initially it was like hand in hand, and it was sweet. Didn't think anything of it. And then just in front of everyone, he just grabs her ass as he's walking with her. And it was funny to watch people react to it, because there was a bunch of guys who, one, recognized that was Jerry Lawler, and two, were just like, yeah, King, you go, King. And then there were women who did not know who he was, and all collectively either rolled their eyes or groaned at it. And I need to express the age difference was palpable.
I was just about to ask about that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. She looked like she could have been daughter or granddaughter.
I mean, that's King for you, but
No, absolutely. But it's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to see it. It's another thing to experience it firsthand. And to me, that is who Jerry Lawler is. The guy who is just unafraid to just grab some ass in front of a convention full of people, and eyes be damned. Jerry Lawler, you make me uncomfortable. And scene.
Bravo. Well acted.
Ooh, Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
James, I want to respond to what you were saying about Claudio really quick in terms of like there being a tier system, because I feel like we have already seen this though, because Moxley sent Claudio to take out Shooter, and it was Wrestle whatever Dynasty or whatever
Dynasty,
it was. Yeah. And I feel like we already saw this because Moxley didn't want to give Shooter the time of day because he didn't feel he earned it, and now Claudio is just kind of doing the same thing. I think so. I'm not disagreeing with your sentiment. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I feel like this has already been established.
I think that, to me, I view it just slightly different because of the personal connection that Mox has to Shooter, and he is making Shooter work for it, and which just feels different as opposed to, like, Shooter doesn't have a shot against Mox now. It's just Mox sent his partner, his teammate to take the kid on. Now with Jarrett, it's a very clear line in the sand. Win and you're in. And I don't know. It disappoints me. It disappoints me greatly.
I don't think Jarrett's going to win. I think it's too soon.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like he's just going to.
I'm out on this.
I feel like he's going to work for
the show was so painful, and except for like one part.
Yeah.
You know,
they jam-packed the first half hour of this show. Rev and I were talking about it before we started.
I didn't even say the first hour because that brawl went a long time.
Yeah.
That was like 22 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had, honestly, it was the brawl, and then it was you had the Moxley backstage promo, which was good out, if you don't include the rest of the context. The tag team title match, the Aussie off, and then we got to here, and then everything just kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if that was just because they just didn't have a lot on this card because of the weather and people not being able to be there or whatever it was. But yeah, this was definitely, we'll talk about it more at the end, but this was definitely a filler episode of Dynamite. There was a
which is
lot
bizarre,
of
which is crazy with how good that first hour was.
That first hour of the show was a show of the year contender, and then fucking, oh my god,
Just dwindled.
You know it, sharing one of his own wrestling stories, saying Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Junkyard Dog hopped out of a van and he was handed a spear by Hacksaw at 6 years old. That is great.
Yeah, that feels like good old fashioned American wrestling.
Yeah, that's that sounds like Territory Days wrestling. Not saying you're that old, you know it. I'm just saying that's what it sounds like. But look, we'll see where this goes with Jarrett and MJF and Claudio, and we'll get to MJF more in a bit. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Danny. I'm like easing back on how excited I initially was with the Jarrett stuff, and so we'll see what happens from there. As we say hello to Dev, welcome back, Dev. Good to have you as always.
Dev.
All right. After this, we went to commercial and then came back to a quick vignette for Megan Bayne, who made her AEW, I guess, return in the women's casino gauntlet match the other week. And there was a lot of rumors whether or not she was signed. She had been signed, wasn't signed, isn't signed, whatever. It looks like she's going to be in AEW now for at least a little while after this package. So that's good to see, good to hear. I'm glad she's getting some national, I guess, international exposure now on AEW because she's awesome. So I'm excited to see what happens with her.
I'll be seeing her God willing, if my body's holding together, I'll be seeing her this Saturday.
Tell her I said hi. I can't go. It's my birthday.
I can't say it for you. I won't say it for you. I'll say it for your cousin.
Oh, Scotch. After this, we went into our next match with one of only 4 matches, which was very interesting. But again, this is now, which was Swerve Strickland facing off against old friend / rival AR Fox.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Rev, but you got the names wrong. This was Killshot versus Dante Fox. What are you talking about?
Good pull. Anyway, early in this match, we saw Ricochet entering the building, and then later in the match, that came into play as he came out to distract Swerve by taking a swipe at him with the scissors in hand as Swerve was setting up for a Swerve stomp. Prince Nana is then able to chase Ricochet off with a pipe, and then he followed Ricochet into the back, while Fox is able to take advantage of the distraction and hit a pump kick in the corner, following that up with some big impact moves, and eventually a roll-up as well, but Swerve was able to kick out of all of them, and then eventually was able to counter Fox with a house call. Swerve then followed that up with a Swerve stomp that he finally was able to hit, and he picked up the win. After the match, Swerve went to go help Fox up, but as he was doing so, Ricochet appeared on the screen and started saying that there are risks that one takes when they bully and embarrass people, just like the ones who booed and bullied and embarrassed him last week when they didn't want to listen to what he had to say. But next week, everyone will be forced to listen to everything he has to say. He sure got a lot to say to get off his chest, and he then reveals that he is holding Prince Nana at, scissor point. Ricochet says that he could gut Nana like a fish for what he did to him last week, but he needs Nana to tell Swerve that this may be his house, but there is a new landlord and the rent is due. Ricochet then hits his annoying laugh and runs off. Thank you. That scared the shit out of me. Before Swerve, who had started to make his way towards the back, is able to catch him. So, Danny, this match was fine. I feel like we've seen such better matches out of these two guys. Like it was good for what it was, but this was really more about the Swerve and Ricochet thing. And cool, we have to hear Ricochet cut a promo next week, but I'm kind of excited to see their match in 2 weeks in Atlanta.
Why are you not excited to hear Ricochet cut a promo? He's fantastic at them now. You know, it's great. But also, look at all this Lucha Underground lore just running wild in AEW. Like, bro, this is fantastic. I this is like the first time I've been happy to see AR Fox in a while. Like, he was one of those guys where I'm like, bro, he's on TV just to lose, and like I'm sick of it. And here, he was on TV just to lose, but because he's been gone for a while, it was refreshing. And also because I have Lucha Underground on the brain lately. It was nice to see this. But
Thanks, Penta.
yeah, it's a lot his fault. But so and this is a good TV match. This is the exact sort of length it should go. Like of course Swerve's gonna beat Fox, and that's fine. He's just picking up a win before his big match. That's makes perfect sense. Ricochet is great in this role. He's really found himself. Who would have thought? Good on him. The only thing that if I'm gonna nitpick, like James nitpicked earlier with the Kenny promo, I'll say like I could gut you like a fish, but I need you to deliver a message. Bro, you're talking to Swerve. That's how this started. You're talking to him. You told him the message. Not how that works.
He's not sure if the camera was actually rolling.
It would have been funny if he was like, I could gut you like a fish right now, but who am I going to buy weed from?
I think again it really needs to be addressed how much Ricochet has managed to embody the classic school shooter into his gimmick.
Classic school shooter.
Like Jimmy Edwards from One Tree Hill, Rick from Degrassi.
Poor wheelchair
I thought you were
Jimmy.
going to say Rick Grimes for a second. I was like, what?
I mean, you never know, but no. There's got to be another one. But regardless, you guys disrespected me. You guys wouldn't listen to me. You guys bullied me. It's like, Jesus Christ. Absolutely. This is exactly what I would expect someone like that to say. And he's nailing it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't have the media literacy to understand. There are people out there who legitimately think that Ricochet is being dogged and looks like a loser. And they don't understand that this has been the most interesting Ricochet has ever been as Ricochet in his career.
No, I think those naysayers have actually been awfully quiet the past 3 weeks or so. Like they've really moved on because they've realized that they're now wrong. Like they were right at a time, and now they've realized that actually I'm really, and we made fun of Ricochet plenty too. It's not like we didn't do it, but like we believed in him to an extent, in certain places and areas, and then we're also giving him his due when he's earned it. Like he's really proven all of us wrong. But continue with your well put thoughts.
No, this was so interesting because on a lot of levels, I agree with you. 2025, and we're watching AR Fox. That is, wow. Like, I think he missed all of 2024.
Was he hurt? Ring of Honor? Like, where was he?
He definitely was doing Ring of Honor stuff, but like so they acknowledged that like at one point it was supposed to be him and Swerve versus Sting and Darby. And that match didn't happen because AR Fox didn't go to All In London. And it was apparently due to he said it was like a family issue that a grandmother died, but other people had reported that it was he just never renewed his passport. And he just couldn't go, and then he just lost that opportunity, which on some level it's hard to be sympathetic for.
Yeah. I remember because there was that like goofy like face turn after he was with Swerve. Like, it ended up being kind of weird.
Yeah, so, that kind of ruined him also for a long time. So that long break or being on Ring of Honor was helpful in terms of letting that shit go.
And, he's still as talented as he was previously. So all that, this was definitely because he's Swerve's buddy and Swerve wanted to, like, give him that shot. And that's cool. I have no problems with that whatsoever. Nepotism is actually pretty awesome. But
I'm glad you paused after that so I can cut it out.
I don't know how you can push this Ricochet character without him actually just stabbing somebody.
I mean, he did. He stabbed Swerve.
No, I know, but like at this point, you kind of need to follow through.
More stabbing.
More stabbing, more people.
Wait till he interacts with Hangman, bro. That shit's gonna happen.
Well, I think it was somebody in the chat. It was Mariah who said that Swerve needs to lose their match in 2 weeks to further the story. And I agree, because this is very clearly leading to some sort of stipulation match where those scissors will be involved heavily.
Scissor on a pole match.
All right, Russo, calm down. But yeah, I have to agree with that, just because I do think it's going to end up in some sort of violent, bloody mess. And I think it's going to make for a very good feud. I think it's been a pretty good feud so far. I agree with you, James. This is the most entertaining, I want to say, Ricochet has been as Ricochet probably ever, or at least in a very, very long time, because he's not just out there as the Ricochet we've always known, where he's really good in the ring and okay on the mic, and he's being able to get by with that. Now he's still really good in the ring, and he's presenting a character, and because he's presenting that character, it allows him to talk better almost. And he just has something that he's never had before, and it's making for a very compelling feud.
Absolutely.
So I'm thoroughly enjoying what he's doing. I'm glad he was able to find something different in AEW, because I think that's something we talked about him needing to do after his first, after his first few weeks in AEW. It was like, all right, honeymoon period's over. What's your character now? And he found it, and I'm enjoying it just because it's something different out of him, and it's not only just something, it's something good.
And it's something that's different for wrestling in general. Like, we've had like the loser heels before. We've had the delusional heels before. We've never had the delusionally dangerous heel, I think, to this degree.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you might be on something there. But before we wrap up this segment of the show, James, can we just get a clean take of you doing the Ricochet laugh? 2 seconds of silence before, 2 seconds of silence after. Let us know when you're ready, bud. All right, can we just get one more? I feel like the first one you did earlier was a little better. So
I'm trying to think about how to do it.
Just one more.
You might have to back up a little because you peaked on the mic there and then like cut out.
Gotcha.
You sounded a little lethargic, but it's fine. We'll let it go. You're on drugs. It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the patience.
All right.
What are you, a doctor?
But on this. Moving on.
Jesus Christ.
Talking about bad jokes, next up we had Chris Jericho's New York Minute. But this is a down episode of the New York Minute, as the Learning Tree lost to what Jericho said basically amounted to the Outrunners and Powerhouse Hobbs at Collision. I think that was the part of that like 12-man team with rated FTR and the Death Riders also being involved. I'm guessing they all took each other out. But they still lost, despite them attempting to take out Powerhouse Hobbs before the match. Big Bill then spits out one of his usual pseudo-Zen quotes, but Jericho chastises him for this, saying that learning moments only work if you actually learn from them, and asks what Bill is going to do about it, which is then angrily echoed by one Brian Keith. So Bill stands up to the camera, and he says that him and Hobbs might have come face-to-face last week, but Hobbs didn't beat him. So he challenges Hobbs to a match in Jacksonville on Collision on Saturday, calling himself the biggest and baddest man, not only in the company, but in this industry. Good for Bill. Good promos. After that, we went to back into the ring where MJF came out, despite the fact there was already somebody in the ring that was supposed to have a match. But he came out anyway because fuck you, that's why. And he kicked the wrestler out of the ring and immediately starts addressing Jeff Jarrett, saying that Jarrett deserves to give everybody in the wrestling industry an apology for what happened last week, and that he himself is owed one the most. When Max offered to help Jarrett win the AEW World Championship in exchange for the first shot at it. Max says he didn't do it because he wanted to help. He did it because he thought Jarrett was the easiest to manipulate and then beat. And if Jeff thinks he's going to be able to win the title with just hard work, then he's more senile than he looks. And then Claudio is going to only make that worse when he beats Jeff's brains in next week. MJF then says that the industry is done with Jarrett and none of the fans like him anymore, despite what all the hicks start chanting Jarrett's name. And he finishes things off by saying that sometimes it's better to make a deal with the devil than trying to defy him. Hangman Adam Page's music then hits, and he comes out for what was his scheduled match. And the one MJF interrupted, and he comes in and just stares down MJF and screams at him to get out of the ring. And MJF is like, yeah, I don't want any fucking part of this. And he leaves. So, Danny, you kind of alluded to this earlier, saying MJF also seemingly is kind of not distancing himself from the Jarrett feud, but distancing himself from what happened last week, which I thought he did a good job of. I really liked the ending line out of MJF. And then also, too, you got a little bit of a tease of something with Hangman and MJF. So I found that very interesting as well.
I can't believe MJF thought that he can manipulate an old person. Like, come on, bro. Old people do not fall for propaganda. Like, come on. What kind of world are we living in here, buddy? Just going to give that a second just in case anyone's really confused and doesn't understand that I'm being sarcastic. Just going to give it that extra bit of time for it to get through to people. But anyway, just in case we got any old people watching too. Sorry. Don't be offended. Me and James are getting there. But yeah, this was good. I like that everyone just admitted that shit sucked last week. And they're like, all right, like that shit was really bad. Let's apologize. Also, to nitpick like James did earlier, sometimes it's better to make a deal with the devil than to defy him. I would assume it's always better, right? It's the devil,
yeah.
Right? It's probably always better to just make a deal than not.
Unless you've got like the perfect hand against the devil, maybe play ball.
Yeah, if there's fire in hell, play ball, I guess. But I was so into to be serious now. Super into Hangman and MJF staring off, bro.
Yep.
Like, give me that. Have Hangman put the fear of the devil in MJF. Like, have Hangman like questioning his morality, but by going too far against the shittiest person on the planet. I think that's a great character beat for Hangman to know he's gone too far, but against someone so vile and evil that totally deserves it, but to still know that it's wrong. Like, I think that could lead to some really, really good development and get Hangman just back on the right track to the main event and to the top of the card. So I am very, very into that. I also love the match. I thought it was flawless. It was a perfect match. I don't know if you went over it, but it was perfect. I really like to think that was what Joe versus Nick Wayne was going to be. Like, almost move for move. And then if I could just go right into the post-match stuff, because I think it's all it's all one segment really. It's all because it was so short. Christopher Daniels coming out. At first I was super annoyed. I was like, what? You just got murdered. Like, be gone. What are you doing? I don't want to see you as an authority figure. Go the fuck away.
At least look more like James with the arm in a sling. He had the neck brace on, but
yeah, which is super insulting to people like me and James who've had real surgeries. Like, come on, like, have some consideration.
None at all.
Then he started talking. He was like, you know what? He's like, that was on me. I got involved. I wrestled the most dangerous wrestler in the most dangerous match, and now I'll never wrestle again. And because Hangman is so fucking good right now, with just his fucking eyes, literally just his eyes, you could see his emotion change. He
was mortified.
stopped grumbling. He never stopped growling, but his eyes got sad where he realized what he did. He's like, I didn't consider that you would never be able to do this again. I swear to God, he should have been the one to kill Danielson because he would have at least done something. What is going on? This was actually really good. I think I'm like that he's also starting to hit Christopher Daniels' finisher. That was like a nice cherry on top, and it's a great move. So if he's
and he hits it well, he hits it really well.
Got a good Angel's wings.
He does. So I thought this was. It's almost like Hangman is above this, but it was actually so good that it fits into Hangman's story perfectly. And I'm super excited about the prospect of him getting in there. This version of Hangman interacted with any version of MJF, really, but I'm here for that.
Yeah, I liked all of this. I mentioned what I liked about the MJF stuff, and just to touch upon the CD stuff, James, before I get to you, like I liked that it was Hangman hitting the Angel's wings to prompt CD to come out, and Hangman's reaction, like Danny said, was perfect. Like the camera getting in his face and him shoving it away too. Like you can tell he is so emotionally conflicted about what he did, because Hangman has always felt like he was in the right. And then you see somebody that was once a very good friend of his go up to him and he's like, you won. It's over. I hope you're happy. And walk away. And Hangman just like it shattered something in his mind.
This is the first crack in the darkness for Hangman that we've seen since after the match with Swerve, and he was walking up the ramp and he sort of realized what he's become.
Yeah, I also think I think there was the one in the Casino Gauntlet where Ricochet did the fake out with Swerve's music. Yeah, because Hangman was the one standing there and he had that look, and then he had that look of confusion when it was Ricochet, and then you had that moment of like, why does this guy has such a hold on me? Like that, like, but I'm still with you and I still agree with what you're saying, but I think he had that moment also in the Casino Gauntlet.
No, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. We've talked about it. Danny said it on point many times. Hangman was for the longest time, and arguably still is, the main character of AEW. So this journey he's been on has been so impactful, and to see it with somebody who had so much history with, because they had a lot of history in the past. I think that's what adds to the believability of it, and that's what adds to the emotional impact of it. So just very, very well done. Between MJF doing his part, Hangman just operating on a completely different level. It's the tragedy of Hangman right now.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying Hangman as a tragic character at the moment, because he has gone from probably the most beloved person in the company, and it's weirdly he's not hated. Like he got huge cowboy shit chance when he came out and to square off against MJF, because a lot of what Hangman has done is justified to a certain extent, or at least the antithesis, or not the beginning of it was justified because of what Swerve did to his family. But he has gone down such a dark road, that eventually, whenever it does happen, his redemption is going to be great. It's going to be a great storyline too.
I think it's got to be Kenny who brings him back from the darkness. I think it has to be, but
God, can you just imagine if like 6 months from now we're in this beautiful world where the main event scenes revolving around Hangman, Kenny, Ospreay, Swerve, like
Stop. I can only get so erect.
That is where I was gonna stop. You sprinkle in MJF. You sprinkle in a better version of Moxley. Like it just imagine where we could be in paradise.
Yeah, and then you have the occasionally returning Bryan Danielson. Like,
well, he's dead, so I don't know how.
His neck was broke.
I don't know, I saw him walking around with one of the friggin' Costco idiots. So maybe it's just a ghost. Is that just a ghost?
Yeah, I mean, if you want him to wrestle, it'd have to be like an Angels in the Outfield situation.
So he'd be Christopher Lloyd?
Lloyd Boner or whatever his name was going to be.
My God.
All right. Moving on. Yep. After this, we had the Mercedes backstage segment with Harley Cameron that we already talked about. And then we went to our women's match for the evening, which saw Jamie Hayter get her rematch against Julia Hart.
What the fuck, people?
What?
I'm so sick of the 50-50 booking with these women.
Oh my God. Did you want Julia to sweep?
Yes. Honestly, yes, I did.
Look, I get it. I understand. WWE ruined 50-50 booking for a lot of those fans. They absolutely did. But like, sometimes that is how you progress a feud. Or that is even how you finish a feud. Sometimes you literally just lose first so you can get the win back. And
that's fine.
And in this case, I'd argue it's correct. Especially because I'm sorry that we're taking away Rev's job of explaining what happened, but
it's okay.
You know, after Hayter won, she got the same exact promo that Ospreay cut on Toni in this fuck Malachi promo that everyone
seriously.
Yep.
I can't believe even Julia got one of her own, which is great for sure. But it was very much like okay, this is done. But if you ever want to break this tie, which is a thing AEW does really well, is actually doing 50-50 correct, which is having one person win, having the person get their win back, and then holding off on the rubber match.
Yeah, I agree on that part.
So I'm fine with that because everyone wants Jamie out of this and onto something bigger. I've been defending it, saying, hey, she's been in constant programs, so that's like better than most. But like now she can move on to those other things. If you want to do a Mercedes match, you can. If you want to do a Megan Bayne match, you can. If Mariah retains, she's gonna need an opponent after that. You know, like there's a lot of or if Toni wins, you know, maybe Jamie clotheslines her so hard she remembers. You know, you don't know. And to be fair, this match was so much better than their first match.
Yeah, no, I agree. This match was better.
Yeah, I liked it. There was a lot of good counter wrestling in this match. I think the way they booked it, or I think the reason they booked it this way, James, is Julia coming back needed that like win, you know, as she was returning, but she also needed the loss so she could get the Ospreay to Buddy promo, because then we saw what happened with the remaining members of House of Black later. But I think they did it that way. So this way, both of these women have a very nice win under their belt. They both beat a former champion, as it looks like they're going to split up and go into new things. And then at the same time, like Julia gets a strong return. Jamie has a nice, strong, but short feud as things begin to free up in presumably, maybe the title picture for her, depending on what happens with Mariah and Toni. So there's a reason they did this. And so I can get being a little frustrated by 50-50 booking, but I thought this was done smart.
Yeah, this isn't the time. There will be times.
I just haven't been thrilled with how any of the returning women have been treated.
I mean, you had a point there. I mean, I haven't been thrilled about how any of the women are treated, period, for the most part. So, you having fun there with your brace, man?
I am hurting right now, guys. I apologize.
It's all
That's
good.
Okay. We can end the show now if you need. That's okay.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about Copeland.
I really don't want to. I might leave anyway.
If you do, we might actually keep it under 2 hours.
No shot. No shot.
Who cares? But yeah, look, this match was good. I enjoyed it. I like the promo Jamie cut after. And I'm we'll talk about more of the House of Black in a second, but I'm curious to see the direction that they go in.
I saw something online that apparently Julia's music changed to not reference the house.
It just says, "Yeah, the heart always wins" instead of "the house always wins."
Yeah, I think Justin Roberts still said representing the House of Black when she came out. But they're removing the references because
he didn't see the video package that aired later in the show.
Yeah, they should have ran it earlier. I got $5. He turns the music on because we've been here too long. Producer boy came in the background for those of you wondering what I'm talking about. All right. After this, really quick, we got a backstage promo from Powerhouse Hobbs. He accepts Big Bill's challenge for the match on Collision on Saturday, saying it won't be very hard for Bill to find him in Jacksonville, as he'll be waiting for him in the parking lot. So parking lot brawl for that match. After the commercial, we came back to Swerve Strickland backstage, who found Prince Nana unharmed, thankfully. But he is enraged, screaming that Ricochet is just an absolute idiot for coming out the most dangerous man in wrestling. But in 2 weeks, the Lion will finally get his hands, or I guess his paws really, on the rodent. And then he says maybe the Lion won't have to wait that long. After that, we got to the House of Black video package I was talking about. Apparently, the remaining members, as it does appear Malachi is going back to WWE, sent in this tape. And Brody started off by saying for years there had been a deafening voice guiding them, but now it has gone silent. And the 3 remaining members declare that they'll now be honoring themselves. No leaders, just violence. And Brody finished things off by saying, when they bark, they will bark together. So I'm excited to see what happens with them. I really am.
I cannot wait to see that Malachi Black has signed a new contract with AEW and is going to be there for the next 10 years. And it was all the speculation was for nothing. Just to spite who?
Just to spite the internet for speculation.
Absolutely. We've been dealing with this speculation basically since the beginning of his run in AEW. Since I want to say since day 2 of his run in AEW.
No, I would say literally just since Triple H took over. Because I feel like otherwise, before Cody left, he was there. He was wrestling. He wrestled singles matches against Cody.
Yeah, I guess so.
He was literally Cody leaving. He was like, I don't care anymore. And Triple H took over. He's like, I want out immediately. And there's just speculation. He'll probably get mad if he ever somehow heard this, but that's the vibe we get. Sorry if we're wrong, Malachi, but we have nothing to make us feel otherwise. Oh no, Rev is crying. His Wi-Fi.
Shit.
All right. Well, the main event sucks, so we're not going to talk about it. This is pretty much it. House of Black gets repackaged. They're that Hounds of Hell now. Very cool. Brody's great, so fuck it. He can talk his ass off. I'm all on board for them sticking together. I just like him with Julia, and I also like him and Buddy. So it's perfect. Let Buddy wrestle. He's a buff Kenny Omega, and let him do.
You're just saying something because Kenny's pretty buff in his own right, but yeah.
Yeah, but Buddy Matthews is
wide
steroid buff.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
He carries the mass well.
Yeah, but this has been 2 injured guys on a podcast. Just talking about our woes. How do you feel?
I am.
What are you? 8 days past surgery, if that.
8 days past surgery. Yesterday was terrible because I could not feed myself for hours because I couldn't cook, and I was home alone, and so I couldn't cook, and I couldn't order food because I couldn't carry the food up my stairs to get to my apartment. So for hours I was hungry and hurting, so I couldn't take my medication because I didn't have anything in my stomach.
Oh my God.
It was rough yesterday. And then finally my girlfriend gets home, and she gets home from work at 5:30ish. I went to bed the moment she got home, and I didn't wake up until 4 a.m. So I am just a mess. but I will persevere. I will persist. How are you feeling?
Okay. I started physical therapy,
Nice.
so it's good, and the exercises aren't too bad. It's more like stiffness. Like I still can't bend my ankle in like certain directions.
Yeah.
I can't bend it like side to side. I can do up and down, but not side to side. So that's like scary, but like hopefully with some more time that'll.
Did they tell you that you'll get it back, or are they concerned?
I should get it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm concerned because I can't do it, so it feels weird.
Yeah.
But
I on the other hand, and I really hope my mom's not watching, but I have a feeling she will be. Oh, there he is. To talk about Cope.
Bro, kick him out. What are you doing?
I
You're not
feel
injured right now. Get out of here.
I mean, he's been broken for a long time. His labrum is fucked up, but he just hasn't done anything about it.
Yeah, I have a bad labrum. I have scoliosis, and my knees are bad.
But
did you guys just talk about each other's injuries while I was gone?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we wrapped up the show. There's nothing else to talk about.
Like, neither of us are too thrilled to talk about Cope versus Pac, but
we got to do it.
I feel myself pushing my limits a little too far. Like, I am not supposed to wear, like, the only time I'm not supposed to wear the sling right now is in the shower. And in another week, I'll be able to sleep without it. And then in a couple of weeks after that, God willing, I'll just be out of it and able to start rehab. And I'm basically at the point right now where I'm just like, all right, if I'm sitting down, like I'm sleeping on my couch because I can't sleep flat. If I sleep flat, it'll damage the arm. So I have to sleep on like the recliner. And like, I'll be like laying back on the recliner a little bit. And I'll be like, okay, I get to breathe a little bit right now. I've been lifting the arm at the elbow just a little bit more than they've recommended that I should. Cool. But I like it, dude. I don't think you understand how hard it is to not use the arm that you've spent your entire life using as your dominant arm.
I do.
Can I recommend being
ambidextrous? Yeah, that too. It's very helpful.
So I spent a few weeks prior to the surgery trying to do things. I cannot write for shit. I was able to shave, and it was glorious because I needed it. I didn't feel like a person.
Wait.
But otherwise, it's just been like lifting things up, putting them down with the left hand. And it's boring, but at least I know I can do it.
You only use one hand when you shave?
No, I mean, typically.
Depending on what side you are?
No, I always use, so like if like I'll just, no matter what, I'll use the right hand, but I'll like, the angle would be better where I like keep things tight or, like stretch out the neck or whatever. But yeah, I typically always just shave with my right hand.
Yeah, I only use my right hand when I'm shaving. Unless I like break a finger or something. But you use like an actual blade or you got like a buzzer?
No, I use an actual blade.
I just use a blade.
Yeah.
Like no saying.
I'll use a buzzer to like maybe like if it's thick to maybe like get it down a little bit. But what are the comments?
It's saying that he had bypass surgery and was smoking and drinking a week later. You guys will lose. Maybe that's why you had bypass surgery.
Yeah, right. Buddy, we say this with care. Stop. Please.
Well, it depends on what you were smoking. If you were smoking cigarettes, I'd say stop. If you're smoking weed, keep being cool, But
hey, the guy was given a beer when he was 6 by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try to get the train back on the track here, and we will continue with other people who have had surgery as Adam Copeland faced off against Pac in our main event. We'll jump towards the end of this match where after he hit an impaler, Copeland lined up for a spear, but Pac ducked it. And then when Copeland got him into a fireman's carry for reasons we will get to, Pac transitioned that into a standing brutalizer, which forced Copeland to collapse into the ropes. Pac then attacked Copeland's neck, which he had done throughout the match. He kept going after a combination of Copeland's neck because of what Moxley had said earlier. And he had also gone after the surgically repaired leg that Cope broke back in his match against Malachi Black, of all people. Anyway, Pac hit 2 kicks to the back of the neck before hitting a released German suplex where he bounced Cope off the ropes, which was pretty cool. And then he locked it in the brutalizer once again, this time, though, on the ground. However, Cope was able to get up and slam Pac into the mat to break the hold. He then hit 2 spears and slowly, very slowly, because of the neck, he got Pac up onto his shoulders and did a bit of an airplane spin before hitting what Excalibur referred to as a TKO-style cutter to pick up the win. So I guess a new finisher for Copeland. After the match, Moxley and the Death Riders appeared on the screen, and Moxley says to Cope that it's a jungle out there before it is revealed that they have taken both FTR and the Rock and Roll Express hostage, with the FTR bound, or one of them, I think FTR hair was like bound to a chair and his mouth was duct tape. I think Bald was just like on the floor dead. And
no,
then
he was tied up to a chair,
yeah.
But the chair was tipped over.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know if that was worked or not, because if that's painful. That's painful. So
tied to a chair and you get tipped over, yeah. And whatever one of the members of a Rock and Roll Express took a concerto from Claudio before Moxley tells Copeland to stay right there, and then the Death Riders head to the ring. They go there, they surround and then attack Copeland, but they are interrupted, as we mentioned earlier, by one Switchblade Jay White, who comes out. He takes out Wheeler Yuta on the ramp. He throws Claudio into the stands, and then tosses Pac out of the ring before going after Moxley. And he has him for a second and gets Mox in position for a Blade Runner, but Yuta once again comes in and hits Switchblade in the dick to prevent the Blade Runner. The Death Riders then take them to task, with Moxley locking in a Bulldog choke on Copeland as Switch is just getting the shit kicked out of him in the corner. And then when Mox decides he's done with Cope, he screams at Copeland that he will break his neck before he and the other Death Riders clear out. So, James, this match was kind of mad. Like, it was really plotting. It felt like it was just slow. Like I said, Pac just attacked a lot of Copeland's neck and his leg, as Moxley was alluding to earlier in the show. And, like, I don't know what the hell is up at the end. There was the 2 spears, and then, like, it was just – I understand, like, Copeland was selling the neck, but he was so slow to get up. And then I don't know what this new finisher is either.
No, I don't have a problem with the fit. Like, Carl Anderson actually hits this a lot. It's a fine finish. My issue is it did not make sense for him to hit it when he hit it.
Yeah, and the way he hit it, like, I think that's my bigger problem with it. Like you're saying, like, it was just so slowly done.
Yeah,
this did not hit at all. The move, the match, anything.
And it was silly to hit it after 2 spears.
Yep.
Like, I actually was laughing a little bit when he hit the back spear and then was going for the second normal spear. And that's because that was literally the finish to Moose versus Ace Austin at Genesis last week. So I'm like, wow, did he just watch that match and then, like, rip the finish completely? But nope. then he picked him up for the TKO, and I was like, oh, he should have just ripped off the finish. That would have been better. I would have been fine if he hit the back spear and then went for the fireman's carry, because it wasn't a legit spear. So it's like, okay, he hit that modified spear, and now he's going for this new finish. But no. He hit the spear, and then he hit just straight up the spear finish. And then he was like, nah, I'm going to hit another move. They're going to love this. It did not make sense at all.
Yeah.
The match itself, again, I agree, it was kind of plotting. It just, I don't know. The night started with so much energy. And then it dwindled. It fizzled out by the end of the night. And that's a bummer. That's not what you ever want to see.
Yeah, it really did. And props to Knoxville for, like, actually trying to stay in this show. Like, they were still pretty loud throughout most of it, especially at the beginning. They were a really hot crowd, and I think part of that was maybe too just the size of the arena. Again, it was a much smaller venue. Again, it was a very unique.
It had a lot of personality. It had a lot.
Yeah.
It was very unique looking, and I love that.
But when you pack a small house like that, it's gonna sound louder, and it's the last 2 weeks now, it's worked out much better for AEW, I think, in terms of the crowd and the noise and the ambiance you get from that. So good on them, but I don't blame them for like half falling asleep during this.
All right, no, there was one point with the audience in the beginning of the night that I was so fucking frustrated, and it's Kenny and Ospreay on the truss, right?
Yeah.
And if you look past Kenny's shoulder behind Ospreay, there were 2 fans in the crowd who are just glued to their cell phones. And I'm like, oh God, this is such a good image of them together. It could be an iconic image. And it's ruined by this fucking jabroni who cannot get off his phone.
And it was like such a good use of the venue because it was a really cool looking venue. And like, I'm all for going. This is one of the better things about going to these smaller venues is that they don't all look the same.
I
when
agree.
You go to these bigger venues, if they don't tell you, you do not know where they are because it's everything. I mean, not they're gonna know by this building that looks different, but you're gonna know it's a different building than the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah,
because it's a different setup and it looks cool. Like I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go to an event in that kind of building. That looks fun. Like that's interesting. I'm very appreciative of that, and I think they really have, between Hammerstein and this, like found the best uses of these, like the perfect size venues for them right now.
I agree.
So
even last week's was pretty cool, but like when you continuously run, hockey/basketball arenas, they're all gonna look the same. Yeah. They're all basically built the same. They're all bowls. Occasionally, some of them have the higher upper decks. When you go to ones for more professional teams. Some of them don't, but all the lower bowls are going to look the same.
Yeah, they all look lifeless. That's one thing I will, not to get on a whole sports thing, but like baseball stadiums are so much better than all the other sports stadiums. They all look unique. Like they're all identifiable. Like football stadiums look fucking identical. Like maybe one or two, like the one in Philly looks a little different, but like they're all like just circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but football is more of like an outside thing that it tends to look different. But when the camera angles for football, you're just basically seeing the field and the oval around the field. So yeah, I can see why it looks the same, except for like Lambeau because it's like 100 years old. But yeah, no, the venue here was much better, and just I don't know what to do. I want to talk about a little more after the match because I mentioned it earlier. Jay White looks dumb as hell here. I know it said it as well.
It was awful.
He comes out to a essentially 5-on-1 situation.
No backup, no weapon.
I like half expected the rest of the Gun Club to come back with him, but no, just him. No backup, no weapon. Comes out, and once again, he gets hit by Wheeler Yuta, who punches him in the dick and interrupts the Blade Runner. This is like the 3rd or 4th time this has happened. Like, dude, you gotta realize Wheeler's coming for your junk there. Like, come on.
It's getting
way too smart for that.
It's getting real AJ versus Shinsuke.
Yeah.
And not in a good way. Hello, Kevin Owens, Kevin Seen. Thank you for joining us. Please don't hit any of us with a stunner or a package pile driver.
Because you were absolutely in the right against Cody.
What were you saying, Danny?
I was going to say, read his comment, letter for letter. But I hated this. I don't like any of this. This wasn't fun.
I love Jay, and I'm going to continue to love Jay, and I will get through this feud. It just wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And it kind of makes other people look bad, too. Like, where was literally anybody else that he decided he would come to make the save alone?
Yeah, I mean, and also another thing that's just bad about it is like when they beat up Cope and White, it was just like a regular wrestling beatdown, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when they cut backstage before that, you know, it was like a murder scene back there.
Yeah.
A far more interesting scenario, but that we didn't get to see any of it play out besides the last concerto. It's like, well, I would have loved to see how that went down instead of the beatdown that happened after the match. Like,
I didn't even know that was a Rock and Roll Express member until they said it. I was like, who's that with the white hair? I thought it was an Outrunner, and I was like, nah, his hair's too white. He's not one of the youngest people alive.
The funny thing is they were advertised for the show, and then that's all we got of them. Like, they didn't do anything else. They literally were just showing up to get beaten up.
They were too busy dying. Like, okay.
Apparently.
The one thing
they didn't even tease them early either.
Yeah.
Sorry, Danny. Like, you thought they would have teased them early, but so that we knew they were there. But nope, they just, with all of the time they had to fill, we didn't get a single shot of them. And all we got was Shivani saying, oh yeah, they've been doing some like advertising for us. And now they're getting, you know, possibly dead.
Yeah, I mean, you don't gotta pay people when they're dead, so that's the mentality. I guess.
Legal.
Yeah,
very legal.
I think you got to pay their families.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Is when Claudio did the concerto, and Moxley did not fucking move. He was just hovering right over. Where he's like, yeah, no, this chair is not gonna touch me. I was like, that was again an isolated, nice moment in a shitstorm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to go to bed.
Yeah,
likewise.
Limp end to the show.
Yeah, everyone looked foolish. The bad guys look like they've looked for the last 4 months or whatever it's been. So yeah, nothing was accomplished here except Copeland got a win over Pac with the kind of convoluted new finisher. The airplane spin is unnecessary.
Yeah, the airplane spin was too much.
Yeah,
too much.
But also, like, the way you're debuting this move is the whole story of this match is your neck is getting beat over, like your bad neck is just getting beat down. You can barely move, but then you still have the capacity to get this guy up on your shoulders and then spin around a couple of times and hit a cutter. Like, you should barely able to hit a spear. You're jamming your shoulder and your neck into somebody else. You hit 2 of them, and then you do that. Like, I was excited about this match going into it because Pac was somebody I think Copeland had mentioned wanting to face in AEW that he had never faced before. And this fell so far short of my expectations.
Their styles and body types just don't complement each other at all.
Yeah, there was a distinct lack of chemistry. Because not that I think they executed anything poorly. I just think like it just didn't work. Like the story wasn't that good. Like I get like going after his Pac's neck because Mox like ordered him to, Pac going after Copeland's neck because Mox ordered him to. But like, yeah, just the story didn't work. The moves didn't work. It's just it was very disappointing. So it sucks that this ended on such a sour note after starting on the show on such a good one. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of, I thought the overall theme of this Dynamite. And granted, as I've said a few times, they were dealing with weather issues. I don't know who else wasn't able to show up. Specifically, Samoa Joe and or Nick Wayne couldn't be there because of the weather, but maybe other things got canceled. But like I said earlier, Danny, this felt like just a filler Dynamite outside of the first few segments because I think there was so much filler into it due to other cancellations.
This was almost an amazing show. If it just didn't have the main eventers on it, if it didn't have the world champion and all these people involved in the story on it, it's a fantastic show. Crazy.
Such a bummer.
Yeah.
Shout out to the opening segment. Shout out to the tag title match. Shout out to the women's match and shout out to the women's backstage segments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are easily the highlights of this show. I actually kind of wish, I'm surprised it wasn't structured like this in the first place, even though I know they're advertising Copeland Pack as the main event. But usually, James, we have title matches as the main event. And I think if you had gone home with the Hurt Business just wrecking wrecking Private Party, I would have been much more happy with that. And they might have actually even got a little more time, too. So I think this was poorly structured, because title win at the end of the show seems like the move.
When they weren't, I was shocked that they weren't the main event when it was announced that Coop versus Pac was the main event. I was shocked. And then I had it in my mind that meant officially the Hurt Syndicate were going to win the tag titles. And they didn't want to put them on last because they didn't want to send the crowd home unhappy. They wanted to send the crowd home happy. And then this happened, and I'm like, well, you're just not sending the crowd home happy no matter what.
Yeah. Plus, people like the Hurt Syndicate.
Yes.
Like, I know they're the bad guys, but they're the cool bad guys, and everyone wants their shit.
Exactly. So it was just, I don't know. I'm going to hold on tightly to Kenny and Ospreay. That is what this Dynamite was for me. That beginning is it.
I think everything after the Toni Storm Harley Cameron segment, we can just forget, because it was all very unfortunately forgettable. The only thing I think after that was the other Harley Cameron segment with Mercedes and this, whatever they're going to call the House of Black now. Like, because I'm just really intrigued to see what happens with them, because I really like the three of them. And without Malachi being there, I'm curious to see what they end up doing. So
I know that they've trademarked or have put in the claim for the trademark for Hounds of Hell.
Yeah.
And Cerberus. So
yeah, Brody. I think he's putting in a few. I thought I saw he put in one more today, but I could be wrong. I might also be confusing it with the Baron Corbin one, because I saw that today.
That man's shoot name is just not an intimidating name for any sport in any capacity.
Fair enough. And it was like Bishop something. I forget what he put in for, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
No, and neither was the end of this show. So, but hopefully the end of this show did okay. And on that note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. If you liked the video, it lets us know that you're enjoying what we're doing here on the show, and we continue to do more of it. Otherwise, we can start changing it up. And if you subscribe, you can continue to get all of the great stuff we do here on the Market Down Podcast. James, I know you are in recovery, but we have a Gym Pack Zone tomorrow coming off the Genesis pay-per-view, or
90% yes. Tomorrow is supposed to be the first live TNA Impact in 8 years. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to see how I'm feeling, but the plan is yes to cover it.
All right, so you guys definitely want to subscribe if you want to catch the Gym Pack Zone for the first live TNA in 5 ever. What was it, 8 years, I think you said?
Yep.
So definitely want to subscribe for that. We attempt to do Raws and SmackDowns whenever we can, and we've been doing a bit more of Raw recently that has gone to Netflix. SmackDown, I mean, it's Friday, so nobody wants to watch shit on Friday. We do as many pay-per-views as we possibly can. I think the Royal Rumble is going to be the next one, so we will be really should be live for that. And obviously, we are back here on Wednesdays for Dynamite. If you would like to check us out on any of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I guess TikTok is back for at least the next 75 days or so, or Blue Sky, and you're here on YouTube, you can check us out on the links in the description below. If you're over on Twitter watching us and you want to follow us on some other platforms, you can check us out on Instagram at MarketDownPod. YouTube is youtube.com/MarketDown3665. And for those of you who are not on our Twitter, Twitter is just at MarketDownPod. Anything, guys, before we get out of here? I know you guys want to go to bed. Your silence says no. So for the departing Danny Hernandez and James DeSanti, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good one, everyone.